is time for your weekly breakdown on the latest in entertainment, sports, pop culture, and all things Milwaukee. This is Nothing But The Truth with Melanie Ricks. Now streaming on 1017 The Truth YouTube with the witty banter, latest trends on social media, and hottest celebrity topics, here is Melanie Ricks.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Nothing But The Truth with Melanie Ricks, brought to you by our friends over at Visit Milwaukee. There's a lot of people visiting Milwaukee lately now that it's getting beautiful outside. I swear, we have the best summers, but we have the best spring and summer too, because listen, it could be 40 degrees outside. You're going to see some people in a tank top riding on the back of motorcycles and doing the ting. I'm in Stu with Benjamin, the one and only. How you doing, Ben?
It's amazing.
I love that for you. Oh, wait, Ben. I was going to change my shirt. Does it matter?
Change it.
I should change it real quick,
change
right?
Change it right now. Change it while we're recording.
Yeah, for sure.
Send it to OnlyFans afterwards.
All right, bet. All right, I won't change my shirt. I'll leave it.
Leave it on, man.
Just leave it?
Yeah, who cares?
I care.
Why?
Guys.
It's not like you're
Actually,
musty.
Here. No, because we're doing two different shows.
Put a jacket on.
I'll put my jacket on.
There you go. Look like you came and did something else. But now they'll look at your hat and be like, oh, he did the same hat, though.
Right.
He did the same hat. I know it was the same hat.
Well, if we keep this part, if you don't cut this out.
I'm going to keep it.
Okay, bet. Hey, keep it a buck. We're recording two shows today, so, you know.
There it is. Tell these folks the truth.
Nothing But The Truth with Melanie Ricks, brought to you by Visit Milwaukee. I love it. Okay, so first off, did you know that there's a live action Lilo and Stitch out?
Yes, I did know.
So I didn't know that until it just came out, I think. And I had no idea. Like, I think I heard about it, but I was like, nah, they're not going to do that. And they did it.
Got me super excited.
You got excited?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, why are you excited for it?
Oh, a piece of my childhood has came to life. That's why.
Yeah?
You know.
Are you a fan of, like, those movies coming to life?
Yeah, I'm always there to check them out. I'm always there to check them out and really figure out if it's going to be good or bad. With this live action Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, no, it didn't come out yet. It comes out May. Sorry, May. My bad.
But they did drop the trailer, though.
That's what came out.
Yep,
okay,
that's what came out. They dropped the trailer. And me looking at the trailer, it seems to me they took a lot of material from the original animated movie. I would like for them, when it comes to this live action, though, to kind of do their own little spin. I don't want to just be able to watch the animated version of it and then go to the movie theater and watch exactly the same thing, just live action. I hope they do a few different little spins on maybe the Ohana idea or, the aliens coming down or something like that. Hopefully they have some relevancy to...
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, what do you mean? What do I mean?
You're saying, like, you hope they stick to the original?
I would like for them to stick to the original, just add a little bit more pizzazz to it, though.
Oh.
I don't want to just watch the animated version and then turn on and be like, oh, I watched the live action.
Isn't that the point?
Nah, it's not supposed to be. At least
you want them to change the story?
Just a little bit. You don't necessarily have to change the story. Just make it a little bit more bigger.
If that's the case, it would be called Lila and, Brick. I don't know. I said Brick.
But it's like, how boring is that, though? Right? Like, the audience who grew up loving Lilo and Stitch watches the same exact movie.
Weelo and Kitsch.
I mean, if they could keep the same characters, just make it a little bit more, in today's time. Like, maybe they have some ideas out there.
Modernize it.
Yeah, modernize it a little bit. Like, we've grown from 20 years ago. We now know a little bit more information about aliens. Maybe they show us a few aliens coming from the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know.
Is that what Stitch was? He was an alien, right?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Experiment 626.
He was like, oh, that's right. Oh, wait, hold on now. I'm talking to a real Lilo and Stitch fan. I forgot. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid.
For real?
I've never watched it as an adult. I'm going to go home and watch it.
I've actually never watched it as an adult, but as a kid, I
sure do remember it pretty well for someone who hasn't watched it as an adult.
Oh yeah. Well, as a Disney kid, I was definitely going to the websites, playing the games they had out there.
Me too.
For all their, animated characters, whether it was Kim Possible or, how Cartoon Network had Kids Next Door. I used to go on the website and play those games. And Lilo and Stitch for the Disney stuff, they had a game as well where you could actually feed one of the experiments that came from Lilo and Stitch like 100 different sandwiches. I used to play that game all the time. But
Did you know, fun fact, the little girl who voiced Lilo was also the same girl from The Ring?
for real?
She did a lot of other movies. Yeah.
2000s, man, I tell you.
Man, that
What
was a time.
what
Shout
a
out to The
time.
Ring. That's still one of my favorite scary movies. But to your point, Lilo and Stitch came out in 2002.
Yep.
This new live action is coming out in 2025. So Ben is in the company of folks who want live action Disney movies that have like a little bit of a twist. Because
A little twist.
what are some live action? They did Beauty and the Beast. They did Lion King.
Right. When it comes to Disney, like you said, Beauty and the Beast, they did Lion King.
I think they did Jungle Book.
Oh, they definitely did.
did
do
Jungle
and
Book.
they did that correctly. I'm not gonna lie.
They did.
When
On
they did
what?
Jungle Book, I went to go see that back
was
in
good.
2016. Yeah, it was fire. I appreciated it.
I thought Lion King, I think the animal ones are really good.
Yeah.
But Ben, I got to be honest with you. I saw a comment on Reddit that said, yeah, Disney needs to keep these live actions to themselves. And I'm sorry, but I agree. I don't think we should touch the classics.
I'm not gonna lie, they do lose the essence. It's kind of
Right.
like again,
It makes it too real life.
It makes it too real life. And I
Yeah.
personally think they do these types of things because they realize their fan base has grown older. The fan base has gotten kids themselves. So to make the money or whatever,
Because
that
they know we're going to go watch these.
and not even just by
Yeah.
ourselves, but with our children.
Facts.
You know, so that's the money maker behind it. And maybe your child grows up to be like, oh man, I really love that version of it. I don't want the animated version of it. But for me personally, that's why I said they gotta switch it up just a tad bit. It doesn't need to be the exact same story, but figure a new way to tell that story.
Okay, so hot take. Now I'm like about to change my mind, but sometimes I think Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Yep,
I
I remember that.
I have more enjoyment watching it only because I was always the type of kid, Ben. When I finished reading a book or when I finished watching a movie, I would want to know what happens next. Like, what's the happily ever after?
Right.
Like, okay, so now the guy got the girl. Did they have kids? Did they retire together?
Right,
Where did
right.
they move? Did they stay in Cinderella's castle? Like, I've wondered those kind of things. So I love Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, because you get to see Simba and Nala have their baby Kiara, and then you get
Right.
to see her grow up and have her own love interest, which I need to know if her and Kovu had a baby. But anyway,
I think Kovu did have a baby with her, and I think it was
No,
like
no, they-
there's like a
in the series.
Yeah, there
The
you go.
series.
Yup, because Kovu eventually took the prize.
yes, you're right.
You know?
I'm gonna go watch
Yeah.
that series.
So you gotta really go down
But to
the
your
rabbit hole
point,
of it all.
but I love that. I love the story continuation. So, like you said, you're like, if you do live action, do a little twist. Why not do like the sequels in
Right.
live action? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that idea?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like again, maybe even in the Lion King, they could have hinted more towards that, though, right? Like Kovu could have already kind of entered the picture at the end.
Oh, that would've been-
movie
it
or
would've been
something.
so
It would've been dope. It would have
cute.
actually tied everything together. So
Yeah.
when it comes down to this Lilo and Stitch movie, you know, because Lilo and Stitch may have only done one movie. However, they went and did a whole like 2-3 seasons on Disney about all the different aliens that
They
were.
did have a series.
I watched it.
Oh, you a Disney
I
kid
watched
for
it.
real?
I just really loved the early 2000s cartoon.
Yeah.
That era was really good.
It was
near and
good.
dear to my heart.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah,
They just hit.
You know, after school cartoons.
After school cartoons.
You know,
Facts.
so it's just one of them things that, again, I hope they do this live action correctly, and I hope it's profitable. And also, like I said before, I hope they just do a little twist, a little spin, give us a little nugget that we didn't know beforehand. You know,
Right.
Yeah, like what actually truly happened to their parents. You know, because it's Lilo and her older sister Nani. You know, like what happened to y'all parents? Give us a little bit more backstory on that. Tell us what happened with that.
Right. Do
Hell,
a prequel.
yeah, or even the fact that like it's based in Hawaii. Maybe they could tie in, you know, the events that just happened in Hawaii 2 years ago when it came down to the laser beam coming down,
That's too real for
setting
them.
things on fire. You know,
But I hear you, though.
Maybe that laser beam was Stitch coming down. I don't know, but figure out a way to tie it into today's time so it doesn't just feel like you guys just copied everything from the animated. 'Cause a lot of
Right.
times when it comes down to just copying from the animated, those movies typically don't ever do that well because you're not telling the fan base anything new. It's a story we already knew. You know, and then we were kind of briefly speaking about this before, but when it came down to the idea of like the Wizard of Oz, you know, like how many more Wizard of Oz's did we get? None. Like we got
you can't remake that.
That joint
No,
damn near
that's not a
100
thing.
years old, and we still watching the same exact version and still playing off the same exact version. I mean, hell, we just did the Wicked joint, right? We just did Wicked,
Right,
you
which
know?
Wicked, was a musical.
It's a musical,
And it's a prequel, and
and it plays into the idea.
correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, without actually trying to repeat it or copy
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's one of these things that if they're going to do a successful Lilo and Stitch movie, again, a live action, they just need to upgrade the ingredients in there a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. Because even when I look back at the trailer, they definitely took from the original.
It looks like they're doing like screen for screen, shot for shot. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's what the intention is, though, Ben. Right? Like the intention is literally to bring the animation to the live action. They're not trying to tell a different story.
And but they don't have to tell a different story. Just add a little bit more on top. That's all I'm.
Yeah, more sauce, like you said.
Yeah, just a little bit more sauce, a little bit more something though. So when I'm done watching the movie,
you feel like you got more from it.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah,
No, I hear
that's
you.
all I'm saying,
because
man.
otherwise, you're gonna compare it to its original.
and then it's gonna be like, oh, this don't stand the test of time. I can't do it.
Let me. I just Googled what Disney animation films have live action. So I'm gonna run through the list. I want you to tell me if any of these are better than its predecessor.
Okay.
Okay. So these are all the films from Disney that have animated films that have a live action: The Lion King, Cinderella, Aladdin. I forgot about that with Will Smith. Cruella, Dumbo, Maleficent, Mulan, The Little Mermaid. How do we forget about that?
Wow.
Pinocchio, Peter Pan, and 101 Dalmatians. Also, it says Alice in Wonderland, but I don't.
Yeah, we've done plenty of Alice in the Wonderlands.
But is there, from all of those that I just listed, is there a single one that you think was better than its animated predecessor?
Yes.
Which one?
So when you said the 101 Dalmatians,
You think that one was better?
yeah, the live action is that much better. Yeah.
I actually would agree with that. I haven't seen those again since I was a kid, but I remember enjoying the live one so much. And that live one came out like in the 90s.
Yeah, that was like
their first.
97.
That was probably one of their first. Yeah, it was. Okay, Ben's a Disney kid, y'all. That movie came out in 1996. I am too, and I don't remember these details.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. When I was a kid, I watched that movie way more than I watched the animated. But also, you know that animated one is from like the 50s, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
That movie, I'm pretty sure Walt Disney was still alive when that movie came out. So it's old.
Interesting.
It's much older. So yeah, that makes sense that we're more into the live action. That's funny.
There was another one that you had mentioned. Could you repeat?
Peter Pan, Pinocchio.
Pinocchio, the live action was trash.
I never watched it.
watched it.
I saw the preview and
I watched it.
Little Mermaid, Mulan, Maleficent, Dumbo.
Mulan, the live action, I'm not going to say it was trash, but wasn't as good as the cartoon.
The cartoon is just so good. The music in the cartoon, Reflection.
The face that the villain was making, he had the yellow eyes and stuff.
And then Eddie Murphy. I mean, come on, you can't top. Sorry.
And I swear to God, that was the one thing that made me mad about
They didn't
the
have
live
him?
action. They did not have
That's what
Eddie
I
Murphy in
heard.
that
And
joint.
when I saw that, I was like, nope.
How y'all doing this?
But is
without
his
the
character?
dragon?
Is his character in there? The dragon?
Nah, the dragon's not in there at all. Yeah,
He was too big of a character to not have him.
way too big
Come
of
on.
a character. Way too, like, y'all was really tripping with that one.
No, they
Disney.
weren't. They probably didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, and then rest in peace to the actress in there, because she actually just passed away last year.
Oh, from Mulan?
Yep.
From the original?
No, from the live action.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she just passed away.
I didn't know that. That's sad.
Yep, and then the Cinderella joint, I would say that the live action with Moesha was better, okay? Maybe I'm culturally biased, but that was much better. Yeah, with Whitney Houston in there, that was just a magical moment.
I love that one.
Remember when ABC used to do movies on Sundays?
Of course I remember. That's where that movie came from. You already know. Ben, I love that movie so much. I have the VHS still to this day.
That was fire.
It was worn out. I'm telling you, I watch that movie all the time. So good. Whitney Houston produced it.
I didn't know Whitney Houston produced that movie.
She produced that movie. Fun fact, she also produced The Princess Diaries.
Really? Oh,
Whitney was connected to
fire.
Fire, bro. Fire. They got another one coming out.
Hathaway.
They got another one coming out soon. Yes, bro.
Okay,
The fourth one.
I'll check it out. Because Princess Diaries is fire.
Fire,
like, I appreciate
fire,
it.
right? But what made me laugh about the Cinderella with Brandy, as kids, we didn't think about it, but like years ago, I saw something on social media where they're like, Okay, so the prince. They're like, so the mom is black, Whoopi Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
The dad is white. I forget his name, but he's a really famous actor, Victor something. And then the prince was Asian. They were like, so how
Different.
does this work? But we were kids, we didn't care.
Nah, we
but
just
isn't
went
that
with the
funny when
story.
you think about it?
Right.
But anyway, okay, Lion King, Cinderella, Aladdin, Cruella. Were any of those better?
Cruella was good, but that was just
Cruella was so good.
Yeah,
but that was a prequel. That was a prequel. To your point, that was not because Cruella's 101 Dalmatians. Duh.
Right.
But yeah, if y'all haven't seen
Cruella
Cruella,
DeVille,
I'm telling y'all
Cruella
right now,
DeVille.
that movie is so good. That actually,
Insane.
I would argue that that's probably the best live action movie they've done. And I actually really like Lion King.
Yeah.
I do like the Lion King.
I thought the Lion King was good.
I don't think it was better than the original, but it was good.
It was good. Because the original just captures your heart in a different way.
The original is the original.
And then I'll say this too, because one thing that people don't realize that plays into these movies doing so well and becoming a fan favorite and locking onto our hearts, dog. All the promotion or marketing that would happen when a movie came out back then. I'm talking about all the toys that you would be able to get from like McDonald's, or the toys that you just know was out there because the movie has just dropped.
The bedspreads.
Yeah,
Everything. Everything.
Quote unquote the aesthetic of it, right?
Yeah.
Like that was an actual.
Remember they had like plates that had and cups and stuff.
Like I don't see that type of energy behind none of these movies these days.
We're also not kids. We're not looking for it as much.
Okay, admittently, I'm not on TV waiting for the commercials to pop up to advertise things to me anymore.
Yeah,
because I ain't gonna lie, I definitely was. I went down the rabbit hole a little bit because I'm like, damn, why I don't see kids cartoon advertisements anymore? But bro, you're not a kid. You don't watch that type of programming anymore.
Your algorithm is different.
It's changed now. My algorithm different.
Right.
But no, all those things used to actually play into it, and I just don't see those things anymore. And it could be because I'm older and I'm not asking for a Happy Meal anymore,
right,
or I'm not asking for a kids meal unless I go to Chick-fil-A. I get a kids meal at Chick-fil-A. I ain't gonna lie. But I don't see that type of merchandising happening for any of these movies anymore. And I wish that actually would come back to some degree.
Yeah.
But then again, what would it actually look like? Would it all be in live action? Like the animated Simba look nice and friendly, but what do you do if you get the live action Simba?
Dog.
You know what I'm saying?
All of
it's too real now.
The meerkat, like all of the animals, oh my gosh, Pumbaa.
Right.
I was like,
a full warthog. Like
I was like, oh, that's what they look like.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, but you're right. Like, even
do you really want that on your bedspread? You know?
Could you imagine, dog, like even like the humans, like, you know how if somebody's supposed to be like gross to have like food on their mouth,
right? It
still looks cute because it's an animation.
Yeah.
If you saw that in real life, I'd be like,
that at all.
Like, that'd be so gross.
And
that is hilarious.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I've said this before. I'll say it again. When it comes down to all these live actions and just how movies are made today, some of these things are just rooted in too much realism. Like, it's just too real. Like, I want to be able to fantasize about some of these things. I want to just be involved in the fantasy and let that roll. Knowing these things aren't real, but the possibilities of it being real. Not to just throw it at you and put you in real life scenarios where everything has to add up to be a real situation in real life.
Let me hit you with a hot take, though.
Okay.
What if these live actions are less about the kids and more about these grown adults, us, that always had these fantasies of being these characters, and now we're able to bring those fantasies to life? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Interesting.
If Walt Disney Co. came to me and said, we're remaking Princess and the Frog and we want you to play Tiana, Ben.
You finna do that joint, huh?
Man, what? Man, what? So Disney, let me know. But like, no, straight up though. So you feel me? Like, what? Because you kind of said it a little bit, and I think that's why I got my mind thinking about this. Like, it's for us. It's like more so
it's
for
not
us.
Even for the kids anymore.
You know, and like obviously it's our opportunity to introduce them to what we loved growing up. But what if low-key we adults are just living out our childhood fantasies with these live action films?
You know, and you're not wrong in your process of thought, because I was looking at a study talking about the idea of nostalgia and how big nostalgia is for our generation.
Oh, it's huge.
Well, it's the fact that other generations weren't disinvested in nostalgia. Sure, we had shows like That 70s Show, which is a show that dropped in the late 90s, early 2000s, that, the 20-year-olds, quote unquote 30-year-old demographic could go back and reminisce on, and that was cool, right? But they weren't so adamant about like, oh, what about their characters, their cartoon characters from Boomerang?
They didn't have the options that we do.
Well, they actually did. When you think about it, because at the time, every 20 years, you get the... So, for instance, we're here in 2025. There's some 20-year-old generation that's growing up right now, whatever, who's 20-year-olds right now, who were born in 2005, right? I'm trying to pull together my point.
Yeah.
They have the power to influence what major companies are going to distribute so they can attract the new consumer fan base, right? Yeah. Those kids who were in their 20s, 30-year-olds or whatever, in the early 2000s, they had the power to create what they wanted to create. They still were the people who were the content creators, so to speak, for lack of better words, or the producers of a lot of these networks that we were just talking about, whether it was Nickelodeon, the Cartoon Network, to Disney. They had the power to influence certain ideas that would be brought out to the masses, i.e., why Marvel ended up taking over so widely, right? Because there was a certain pocket of people who were in their 20s, 30-year-old people who were like, hey, we need to actually double down on these Marvel movies. We already did good with X-Men when it dropped in 2000. Blade did good in the 90s. How can we bring back this whole Marvel universe, so to speak? And that's what they did. That became their mission, i.e., what's the gentleman's name? Stephen Feige or something like that. Jeff Feige. Whatever.
To your point, you're right. Like, our generation, and you know what, Ben? Let me take it a step further, but like build upon what you said. I actually do believe that nostalgia has been a thing for all generations. Okay. But I think that now we have more money, more resources, more things, more capabilities
to be able to create
and do those things. Gotcha. Whereas I don't think they were able to do that necessarily. But like, I watched a lot of like black and white television.
Really?
I do. I love black and white TV.
What gets you about black and white TV?
I don't know. It's weird because
Who are you?
Well, I don't know. Like it's
got an old soul or something.
Oh, I do. I definitely have an old soul. We know that. But no, I think it's weird because it's like it reminds you of a better time. But then when you think about it, the times were actually terrible for us. But regardless, my point, even back in the day, Beverly Hillbillies. Random example, I know. But if anybody wants to watch Beverly Hillbillies, it's a show from the 50s. But it's not set in the 50s. It's set like decades prior. At least I believe it is, because they act like they've never seen a TV before. Damn. And ain't no way. I mean, I guess in the 50s, TVs were fairly new. That may not be the best example.
They definitely were new.
They were fairly new.
Yeah, in the 60s is when they got some color.
Yeah, that's true. Regardless, even back in the day, there were shows that were Little House on the Prairie. There we go. Okay. Little House on the Prairie is a show from the 70s, I want to say, but it was based on Laura Ingalls Wilder's time in Wisconsin and also like just traveling on the trail.
The prairie?
The prairie, yeah, for sure. I was gonna say the Oregon Trail, but they're separate. They're not the same. But regardless, man, my point. They did a show in the 70s about that, and it's nostalgia from like the late 1800s, early 19. They've always done nostalgia, but I think now we
focus on it a bit more.
We focus on it more because we can do more. Like, Ben, think about it. Imagine a group of us just sitting around ideating, figuring out what's next. Hello, let's just remake all of our favorite shows from when we were kids because we miss being kids. We miss being able to watch those shows. So why not bring it into today, but put a spin and like make it feel more modern, but it's still nostalgic, you know?
I can see that. I can see that being a thing. Like, I mean, personally, I have a few different dreams that I want to attain in my lifetime. 1, being a world famous rapper. 2, being a movie director.
Okay.
3, being an inventor. And 4, being the president of the United States.
Did you say being an Avenger?
I am going to be an Avenger. Actually, I probably wouldn't be an Avenger. I'd be part of the Justice League.
Period.
But no, I said inventor.
I want to be an Avenger.
Hey,
I do.
And then fourth, being the president of the United States. I plan on running in 2052.
Wow.
But with that being said,
wow, I did not know that.
yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
I've been campaigning since last year.
Love that for you.
Yep. So I'm gonna put campaign for the next basically 30 years of my life and see where it gets me.
I mean, hey, if it takes 30 years to get you there, it'll be great timing.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Hopefully, we still gonna have it in America. But with that being said, with the second goal that I want to attain, being a movie director, I always fantasized about bringing, my childhood to life as well. Like you just said, like I want to shoot a Digimon movie live action.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to shoot a Yu-Gi-Oh movie live action, Dragon Ball Z live action.
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Which I think they're actually gearing up with.
Yeah.
They're creating that. I know Nintendo. I see you, Nintendo. I know what y'all up to. Y'all finna create that whole universe right there. I see it with Sonic and Mario and Pikachu, Detective Pikachu. I know what y'all doing, and I'm gonna be all there for it.
Detective Pikachu was really good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mess with the
Those
other
movies are good, yeah.
And again, even watching that kind of movie right there, right? It was one of them things where
You know what else is good? The Sonic movies.
Ooh, hey,
Sonic 3?
is fire. Yeah, Sonic is fire.
Fire,
Shout out to
bro.
Jim Carrey too.
They did a great job with Jim Carrey in that dog. And he said he did it for the money. I'm like, bet. Do more movies for the money because we miss you, Jim. We do.
Jim Carrey's comedy is actually missed. That's one
Unmatched.
Thing. Woo.
Did you know the faces he made as the Grinch? That's his face.
Yeah,
that wasn't
his face.
makeup.
Yeah.
That was him.
That's him doing it, man. Moving around them
Different.
prosthetics.
Prosthetics. But to your point, that brings us full circle, Ben, because Jim Carrey is nostalgic. Think about how many people went and saw that movie for that man alone.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I just want to say this because this speaks volumes to when you have, mastered your craft and just achieved, success from your goals you were trying to obtain. I was watching a interview with Drewski, and Drewski was on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking about a Super Bowl commercial that he was going to be a part of. But in that Super Bowl commercial, he was going to be a part of it, and Jim Carrey was going to be a part of it. However, Jim Carrey ended up denying it because they weren't willing to pay him enough to be in it.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but mind you, the commercial was only 30 seconds. So Drewski was like, some way, somehow, he was able to see what they were willing to pay Jim Carrey to just sit in a 30-second
how much was it?
Commercial. He went on to go say that it was over $30 million. Like, for him to actually do this Super Bowl commercial. And
I believe it.
Hey, it's Jim.
It's Jim Carrey. It's Jim Carrey. And it's the Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl.
Come on.
He knows his value.
He knows his worth.
Value,
Good for him.
And went on to go say that still wasn't enough for him to do it.
Come on.
So it's just one of these things.
I respect that.
Hey, shout out to Jim Carrey. I would love to sit down and talk to him one day, go down a rabbit hole and really see what goes on in his mind.
Because some people could take that as like, oh, he's being a diva, but no, he knows his worth.
Yeah.
He knows his value.
Yeah.
And he said, that's not enough to get me out of bed today to go do this commercial with you, but up that price tag, and that's okay.
That is okay. Know your value at all times, man, especially if you are a nostalgic idea. We are starting to see, our old rappers getting older, and they are nostalgic. I saw something on, what's that show? Abbott Elementary, where they were talking about Lil Wayne's "A Milli" as a classic.
Ben, when I tell you, we're on the same frequency because literally that scene is what popped in my mind. The kids saying, "A milli, a milli, a milli." Ben, we're on the same. We're there. We're here.
No,
we're here. Also, now that I know that you watch Abbott Elementary, this is good to know because I am a huge Abbott fan.
Hey.
I am all caught up.
Hey.
I watched the most recent episode the morning it dropped on Hulu. Okay.
That's interesting, man.
But anyway.
But no, seriously. So we capitalize off nostalgia, but I think I do agree with your sentiment when you said the reason why we have so much nostalgia out here now is because really we're just out here trying to relive our childhood.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Which actually sucks. I don't know. I don't think it kind of sucks.
I mean,
if that's your whole life, you trying to relive your childhood.
But I think it's normal, Ben, because I think at the end of the day, we're all just a bunch of big kids running around. Like, think about it. The adults that were adults when you were a kid, you thought they had it all figured out. They ain't know anything.
They ain't know nothing.
You feel me?
I know way more than them.
And at the end of the day, we all want to go back to a place of innocence and like having no worries and I think your childhood, that's probably the most innocent place. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Let us know how y'all feel about these live action films. Do you think that they serve a purpose? I mean, like Listen, at the end of the day, it's a money-making opportunity. So, hello, do it. And I support that all day. But I do feel like well is left alone sometimes. And I personally think that the animations stand alone and they need to stand alone. But I'm not going to ever tell anybody not to make money, not to create, nostalgia, and not to have an opportunity to like bring something from your childhood into the current day. Because I do think it's interesting to bring it to life and to like see what it looks like with like some modern direction, some modern graphics, like everything, But let us know in the comments what y'all think about that. Ben and I, as you can see, well, he's a Disney kid. Like through and through. I love that. I love everything I learned about you today.
You didn't know these things about me?
I didn't know how like deeply invested you were in this and how much you remember.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
I got a big memory. I got my memory is huge. My very first memory was when I was 3 years old. When my bigger brother was trying to wake me up.
Oh, that's so random.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
random
that.
as hell.
I love that.
I just took people down a rabbit hole the other day about it. It was his birthday the other day.
Shout out to Alice in Wonderland, Rabbit Hole.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments what y'all thought about this one. I can't wait to talk to you guys again. We're going to obviously always continue to bring you some hot topics and just really get things off our chest. And Ben and I had been talking about these live actions for a while, and we said, you know what, let's bring this conversation onto the airways.
Ooh, and speaking of live action films, I just want to throw this out there because Wisconsin said they got new monies in the budget or whatever for live action films and just movies to come here. So now we have a movie budget. So who knows? There might be a live action film shot right here in Milwaukee.
So
That's
you're
why,
saying I may be Tiana and Princess in the Front?
You could be if somebody decides to visit Milwaukee.
Oh, Visit Milwaukee. Okay, I see what you did there. Shout out to our friends over at Visit Milwaukee. And speaking of, this is Nothing But The Truth with Melanie Ricks, brought to you by Visit Milwaukee. Shout out to Benjamin. Shout out to all of y'all. Really appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, y'all.